Hey there, Falcon fans. Welcome back. This is Stickster. I know I haven't done one of these videos in a while. I did get some very nice, encouraging comments from a few viewers. Hopefully you're seeing those on the screen right now. I want to say thank you to those folks. There's just been a lot going on in life, and I haven't had a lot of time and energy to put into videos lately. This is not really a source of income for me, just something that I like doing to spread some education and some entertainment, hopefully, out there in the world. And hopefully I'll have some more of these coming out soon. I wanted to show you a couple topics that were on my mind recently because of a Reddit thread that I saw on Falcon. You're going to want to wear some good studio headphones or listen through some professional studio monitors for this. If you're just listening on a phone or a laptop, it may be impossible for you to hear some of the details in the demonstration. So if you've got those, you probably want to put them on now. This is the Model D KeySuite. It's UVI's Soundware for the Steinway Model D, and it's quite a good sampled piano. Now, I've just loaded this up, and I'm going to show you how I am manipulating it to change some of the sound design of the piano itself. So here's just the piano on its own. Okay, so what you're hearing is very much inside the piano. If you're listening to this on good headphones or a monitor, it feels very wide. Unnaturally so, in my opinion. Now that is a artifact of having these microphones inside the piano, and you're hearing what the microphones hear, and so you're hearing some notes way over on the left, and some notes you're going to hear over on the right. So what we want to do is we want to change the way that you're hearing the piano. I don't like that very wide stereo image. It sounds very much in your face. It can be difficult to fit that into a mix if I'm using this piano in a song or something like that. So I've got an effect rack loaded here, and I'm going to load that up so you can see what it is. Now that effect rack is one of many effects, and you'll see that there's a Monoizer function here. And so what I've done is I've rigged up a custom function to allow us to bring in the stereo image. In other words, reduce the stereo nature so it sounds a little more realistic. One thing that you're going to see is I've put this effect rack, this monoing, before anything else, including the convolver, which is where we're getting that hall reverb from. The reason I put this effect first is because I still want this piano to sit in the hall. If I monoize the entire sound, in other words, if I put the effect rack at the end of the chain, it's going to collapse the hall image as well, and it's going to make it very narrow. It's going to sound very artificial. Now, that may be something that you would want for a certain case, but it's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for the effect of a piano literally sitting in a hall. So I'm going to monoize the piano before it goes into that reverb. Now, what have I done with this Monoizer? Well, essentially what I've got in this effect rack is three effects units. I've got the UVI wide, which allows us to reduce or expand a stereo image. I have a gain here, and you're going to see what that's about in just a second. And then I've got a digital EQ here, and I'll show you what that's for in just a moment as well. So let me go up here to the macro so I can bring this onto screen. And here's the macro. So I'm going to, let me play a little bit here, and you're going to hear a Debussy piece called Clair de Lune. I'm just going to play this so it will be, you'll hear this behind me talking, and I will shut up at different points so that you can hear what's going on with the sound. So let me go ahead and start this. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you what the modulation here is doing. So we've got this effects macro for monoizing, and it's actually connected up to three different controls here. It's connected to the width. So by turning up this macro, it's going to reduce the stereo width. It's also attached to the gain, because what I found is when I monoize sound, the apparent volume dropped quite a bit. Now, I like that to some extent. I want to keep some of it, but I wanted to counteract some of it as well. So there's a very small modulation going on here as well using this Monoizer macro. And finally, it's attached to the digital EQ, specifically the frequency of this high pass filter. Now I put a gentle high pass on here of 6 dB and a fairly small range of manipulation. So what you're going to see as I turn up the monoizing. So again, right now you're hearing the piano just as it normally would be. I'm going to turn on the effect rack, and then I'm going to manipulate this Monoizer macro, and you can see what happens. Again, watch up here with the width, the gain, and our frequency cutoff. I like to get this somewhere between 50 and 60%, 65% for what I've done here. Okay, so why go through all this? Well, it's not just to mono out the piano, but I also want to take into account what it would sound like to be hearing a piano in a hall. So it is going to get a little bit quieter, not as quiet, not as radical a difference as I originally heard. And then I'm also cutting off a very small amount of the bass frequency, because as we move away from the piano, they're less accentuated, right? Those bass frequencies. If I move all the way up, you're going to hear it even a little more radical. Okay, so that is fully monoized. The stereo image is completely collapsed on the piano. You're hearing it right up the middle. And that is a little artificial sounding as well. I mean, you could get that sound from a single mic, of course. And what I'm also doing here is I'm modeling the idea of the mic being a little bit further away from the piano. And because it's further away, you're going to hear less of the bass frequencies on the piano. I'm going to turn it back down just a little bit, so you get a little bit of that stereo image. So we might be a little bit closer to the piano now with a couple stereo mics, but we're not miking inside the piano as closely. And just so you can hear the difference, I'm going to turn off the effects rack completely so you can hear the difference. So this is with it engaged. And we're going to turn it off. Now you're right back inside that piano. All right, we'll turn this back on. Here we go. And now it sounds like maybe we're sitting a few rows back in the hall and we're listening to the piano as opposed to being right up against it with our heads stuck under the lid. Very nice. Okay, so hopefully this was a good demonstration of something that you can do with UVI Falcon and UVI Soundware. So when you load it in, you're able to do basically any kind of customization that you like with the sound. You have full access to every single part of the patch. So for example, in mapping, you will see all of the samples are laid out for you. You could swap things if you want. You could manipulate these further. You could change the levels at which the samples make their transition from the pianissimo sounds or the very soft sounds up to the fortissimo sounds at the top of the sample map. These are all things that you can do with any soundware that you load into Falcon. I hope this was entertaining. I hope you learned something that you can apply to your own sound design or your own music and your own production. I hope you have a lot of fun with Falcon. This is Stickster, and I'll see you next time.